Hi and welcome. We are most often asked to use our heads as against our hearts. But I want your hearts to be here for the next 15 minutes because this space is going to talk to you about the new benchmark for exceptional success and extraordinary leadership, the emotional intelligence benchmark. Yes, the new essential factor, the EQ factor, which comes right from the heart, straight from the heart. So we will nurture your emotions while you nurture the emotions of those you lead. I want you to step up, step out, and experience extraordinary leadership starting now. Let's go. In today's workplace, it is impossible to focus on economic value again. There is a huge premium on human value. Now, both these values are absolutely codependent on each other, and a workplace which does not pay attention to both of them or is not able to integrate the two of them would probably not be very effective. That's a fact. It would not be effective if it is not integrated well. Now, it is the job of the leader to clearly define these values, the economic, the human, and the combination of them in such a way that it leads to effectiveness of the people being led. Now, when we talk of human value, we are very clear that the economic value is created by the human potential. But the value of that potential is far bigger than the work that it does. Profit alone is not the sole benchmark for success anymore. The people who are working want to feel successful. Now, what does that mean? Money is not the sole motivation. The leaders as well as the teams, they are looking for more than financial success, and that is significance. Now, that calls for acceptance and knowing the unique contributions of each and every person to the workplace. That asks us to know what that contribution is, who they are, how they work, what they need, to understand those needs, to understand their emotions, to understand the intelligence of the emotions and our own emotions. And that asks the leader to know these things. Once a leader knows these things, there is absolute certainty that anything to do with people can be handled with ease. Today's episode is devoted to talking about emotions alone and why they are so relevant and crucial. More so from the perspective of leadership, why emotions become so important. Now, emotions give us feelings. And feelings, what we're feeling at the moment, that is the lifeline to self-awareness. It is the lifeline to our self-preservation, because what we feel tells us what to do. And it deeply connects us with ourselves and with people around us. Now, we need to start understanding this very clearly, that emotion is it's a tool. It's not being emotional, it's a tool. And it's a signal to the mind and body. What emotion one is going through at a particular moment, what feeling one is feeling at a moment, that informs us of the significance of what is happening in that moment. Why is it relevant? Why should we do it? And why should we not do it? That we need to know. Now, that is powerful knowledge about anyone. If it's in the workplace, if one can know what another is thinking and what one wants, I think that empowers us. Now, this kind of knowledge, this plays a huge role in life in maintaining and building relationships. Emotional awareness helps us preserve these relationships. It helps us succeed with people. Once you succeed with people, you're bound to succeed at work. It's different. Succeeding with people and succeeding at work are two different things. Now, succeeding with people becomes a precondition almost to succeeding at work. And what is of utmost importance is that this emotional awareness, this know-how, helps us to identify and define the finer things about human character, about our own character, about our own abilities, like the things that we value, like the things that lend us motivation, our zeal. Can we exercise self-control? Are we persistent? Are we people who can work under pressure? Now, these kind of things then come into focus, and then we are able to identify. Now, these are the things, able to identify the unique contribution. What is the unique contribution? One is a work requirement. The other is, what does one personally bring to the workplace? What is that unique personal contribution to the workplace? It is these emotions, the intelligence about emotions that help us, that tell us what it is and how we can define that, how we can appreciate that, how we should use that. We have never been told that emotions are in fact a tool to learn about ourselves, about our strengths, about our weaknesses, about our good points, about something that we can work on, and about the same thing that we can learn also about others. We have never been told that emotions are an absolute must to navigate a fulfilling course through working with other people, to succeed with people. Don't you think it is high time that our ability to feel is given a rightful place next to our ability to think? The biological fact is that when we allow ourselves to feel emotions fully, as we are actually designed to do, we tap into a part of the brain which has been lying dormant, obviously, if we have not learned to use these emotions. However, the question that comes to my mind is, why do we really need to understand and have a clear relationship with our emotions? More so in the workplace. Why? Why is it important? Because it is about people. People are emotional beings. Now, why should I feel what I'm feeling? Why emotions become important when we are working with people? What about the stronger emotions? We all have sometimes, we do go through a strong emotion. What about learning how to never get intimidated by an emotion? Instead of just feeling an emotion and letting it affect our work. How about using that part of our body, of our biological existence to be able to better perform at work? So the answer, if I ask the question, why is it important in the workplace? The answer is very simple, because we are emotional beings. We work with emotion all the time, though it sits in the background, and emotions are a part of us. So would it not be ideal to use it as a resource for improving and bettering our performance rather than pushing it in the background? Emotions affect us. Emotions affect everybody. Emotions affect our moods. Emotions affect our performances. Now, would it not be nicer if we understood how to use these emotions instead of letting the emotions use us up? Would it be a good idea to understand how they can enhance our relationship and our performances if we learn how to use these emotions? And the answer is a resounding yes. We all know that work happens with or around people who come loaded with emotions. But emotions have always been treated like the bad guy. More so in the business environment. We never even speak of emotion when we talk about work. Business and emotions just don't go together. Well, but emotional skills can help the workplace outcomes completely. They profoundly influence our social and workplace outcomes. We need not be emotional, but we can be emotionally intelligent in as much as it helps us to understand different kinds of people, their requirements, their needs, their working styles, what they're thinking, how to get around them, to have them feel that they are uniquely contributing to the workplace. That's what emotional intelligence does. In business, the intellect is valued and the emotion is undervalued, or if I can say so, devalued. We use our head to understand what's going on in our body. Now, is that not the wrong guide telling us what's going on? It is always smarter to use the head. Now, my question is, being smart at what cost? Do we really need to stifle the emotional component of our personalities? And the answer is a resounding no. Let me tell you, the cost of suppressing our emotional personality is quite high. It's huge. When we do that, we give up on a skill that we genuinely need. We need it so badly to maintain healthy and satisfying and fulfilling relationships. We need our emotions. We need the understanding of our emotions to understand ourselves first, and then eventually to understand people around us. Now think of a leader who depends purely on the interpretation of the head to lead people. Sometimes that can be fatal. I think it's absolutely incomplete. That understanding is very, very important. So without knowing our emotions, without valuing and seeing what our emotions can do for us, we're probably losing out on a lot, and we can probably not get along very well with people or succeed with people. We've been told not to trust our emotions. The poor emotions have been blamed and accused for distorting the accurate information that our intellect gives to us. Our entire personality is molded around our intellect and wiping away that reality that we are actually emotional beings. We do feel, we do feel at different times, but we do that only at our convenience. We cry at a movie, but we won't cry otherwise. We will use our gut feel to play a game of snooker, but we will not use our gut feel when we are buying a product. Now that's where the paradox is. We've been told to value our head and undervalue our heart. At times, even when people value their heart, they feel they're doing something wrong. We are not wrong. We are not wrong, because head and heart, after all, they're not two different things. They are the two halves of the same whole, and I'll show you how. Emotion and intellect are two halves of the same whole. Scientists who map the brain say that the emotional center of the brain and the rational center of the brain are both codependent. Now we've all experienced this at some point in our life, that whenever physically, whenever the emotional center of our body is disturbed or upset about something, the whole intelligence is affected. We are almost short-circuited. Now that physicality, that physiology affects our thinking as well as our performance. When emotions are understood, it allows us to experience the feelings fully as they happen and how we are dealing with them. That ability to deal with a certain feeling. Now this ability is what makes us do what we do. This is not an ability that we say, okay, this is the way we are living and this is the way we're going to continue for the rest of the life, because this is a learnable ability. We can substitute a disempowering ability with an empowering one. Now this is what gives us the critical edge, because it keeps the line of communication open between the thinking faculty and the feeling faculty while they're communicating with each other, depending on each other. This gives us power. This is empowering for me or anybody who's working as a leader, because it's good for your surroundings, it's good for the people you are working with. That inner world, when it comes into focus, and how you are able to build your ability to deal with different things, that learning when you bring out to cope with the outside world, that is the critical edge. There are three very basic things that one needs to do, very basic. The first one is the ability to know what you feel. It's very important to know what you're feeling. And once you know that, the second thing that needs to be done is to be able to accept what you're feeling and be comfortable with that feeling, irrespective of the intensity. Don't worry about it's good, bad or ugly, but it is there, that's it. Irrespective of the intensity, you should be able to accept and be comfortable in that feeling. And the third bit is, once you've accepted, the ability to act or not to act on that emotional information. Very important. The ability to act or not act on that information, that becomes very important. Now this is knowledge for us. So this is extremely useful. Knowing emotions is a very, very useful thing. It's not about today, it's about long-term survival. When we understand these things, because tomorrow what kind of emotion is going to come in front of us, how we are going to react emotionally to a certain thing, I do not know. Nobody knows that. So it is about long-term survival, to be able to see what's there, to be able to identify what is there, to be able to know what is happening. That ability is a very, very important ability, especially for somebody in a leadership position. When we don't pay heed to our feelings, the emotional resource atrophies, it dies like an unused muscle. Don't exercise for a while and your muscles are going to get loose. Like they say, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. Thank you so much for watching. This is Abha Banerjee. See you next time.